welcome everyone. Thank you for being here today. Day 2 of Big London. So I am Jake Bankson, VP of AI Solutions at Striim. Happy to have our partners up here, Google and Orange, a customer, to talk about rewiring telco for real time. We're going to try to do something a little different, hopefully not slideware you to death again. We're going to try and have just a conversation today and find out Orange Belgium, what they've been doing as they've moved towards real time and how Google has been helping that out. And so without further ado, let's just get into a little bit of introduction. So as mentioned, my name is Jake. I work in AI solutions at Striim. I work with our customers to understand what are their AI solutions they're trying to implement and find out how real-time data can help them, how we can meet in the middle there. So go ahead, Justin, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yep, so Justin Grayston, I lead customer engineering in the UK and Ireland for not just telco, media, entertainment, gaming, and all of advertising. So everything from BT, VMO2, BBC, right through to WPP.
Perfect. Honestly, we're not the important ones. Really, we're here to hear from Bruno. So Bruno, if you want to introduce yourself.
So, hi everyone, I'm Bruno Kinaar. I'm leading a small team in Belgium that is working on everything data transformation. So data warehouse transformation, real time, but also AI. So yeah, driving these kind of projects on that topic. And personally, I've been in the data ecosystem for the last 15 years or something like that, maybe 20, I lost count. So I went through the analytics, MPP, Teradata, Netezza to Cloudera and Hadoop, and now First Cloud, and now eager to see AI also.
Excellent, thank you. Well, before we go any further, we'd love to dig in, learn a little about Orange Belgium, if you mind sharing a little bit of background about the company for those who haven't heard of them.
Sure. So yeah, we started in Belgium in '96 as a mobile only, the second one, the challenger on the market. From the start, we were part of what was then called France Télécom, today known as the Orange Group. So we about 3 million mobile subscribers, 800K broadband subscribers. So it's not a big company, but it's a telco. We have the same problems as all the other telcos. And yeah, today the big challenge for us is fiber. So the commercialization nationwide of fiber is a big topic for us.
Okay, excellent. Well, let's go ahead and kick things off. Start out with the questions. I think the one that everyone is most interested in hearing about is about Orange Belgium, your architecture, specifically about you shifting towards real-time data and cloud-native architecture. Do you mind talking through that a little bit?
Sure. So our journey there started about 5 years ago. Our CIO was very eager to get us on the real-time track, especially for the digital channels. So we started working with Google and Striim to expose basically what is in Salesforce. So we use heavily Salesforce for everything, order entry, provisioning, product inventory, etc. is it in Salesforce. And we needed a way to expose that data in near real time to digital channels. So we started using Striim to capture that data, stream it into our cloud environment, and then we use BigQuery basically to consolidate all of that and make it available. Not only for operational needs, but also analytics. So we use the same pipeline for our analytics stack. So the initial need was around digital channels, but now we are also using it for something like customer care. So it's quite important for us to limit our footprint on Salesforce, and we are able to do that by exposing this data to customer care without having to use a Salesforce UI, let's say. So today the architecture we're in about like 50-minute freshness, which is reasonable. So we are using Striim and the Salesforce bulk API to do that. But moving forward, we'll use the Salesforce CDC API. So it's a new, more real-time API, which will help us to come down to just a few seconds of freshness of the data. And with that move, we're also moving to Google Spanner, which is quite interesting database, which will help us for the serving part to be resilient and scale while keeping our platform quite easy to manage.
Excellent. So out of curiosity, you have Google and Striim here. We're really happy that you just selected our technologies. I imagine that you looked at quite a few technologies when you were selecting this. Anything that drew you to using Striim and Google combined together?
So we are a good customer of Google, so we are very happy. I think BigQuery is a fantastic product. So from the beginning, this is clearly.
I haven't paid him to say that.
So there's others, but yeah, we're very happy with BigQuery as an analytics platform. It's really solid. Like I mentioned, we did Impala Hadoop before, and that was a lot of. It was nice when it was working well, but it was a lot of scars with operational problems. Nothing like that on the BigQuery stack. So that was quite important for capturing the data. So yeah. We looked at kind of like more self-made solutions to capture the data, but Striim there helped us to do it faster and more reliably. And especially now with the new API, with Salesforce CDC, there's not that many in the market that really integrate well with it. And so, yeah. So now recently Striim has also this capability. So yeah, we started doing the first POC and we'll be in production by the end of the year. With Striim and reading from this CDC API, which is quite a nice feature for us.
Justin, maybe ask you, is this a trend that you're seeing amongst other customers, looking at real time, but as well specifically out of like their SaaS applications where traditionally maybe they may not be looking to liberate that data out of there?
Yeah, it's definitely a trend. Today's actually my 8th Googleversary. Right? Today I've been at Google 8 years. When I started at Google, my first project was going into a large customer to unify the data, bring into BigQuery. 2 years later, we restarted that project at that customer to do it properly, real time, as a streaming basis. So like, yeah, there was lots of Hadoop before, and it's like, how do you munge it together? Well, we'll do a bit of BigQuery, we'll have a bit of the old and the new.
Yeah.
And it was actually when we restarted, that's where I first met Striim, Roger over there. And we started looking at, okay, so where is your existing legacy database? Like, how are you going to take some of these changes and then bring some of those into BigQuery? But we see that trend, and that trend's been going for 5 years.
Okay.
More.
Well, excellent. So next question, we'll go back to Orange over here. Once you centralize that customer data, what new use cases really has that been opening up for you guys at Orange?
Yeah, so as mentioned, it was mostly first digital, so making sure that personalization in digital channels was fresh. But as that happens, now the topic is more also like I briefly mentioned, customer service. So making sure that agents, when customers contact us, that the agents have the full view. When they are taking actions, that this is reflected also in what they see, without having to rely on Salesforce, because like I mentioned, it's just too expensive for us to have Salesforce licenses for the many call centers, for example. So we need systems with this real-time intelligence, and so yeah, that's for one. But yeah. I think with this real-time pattern is going to be extended also to other systems. So not just marketing and sales, but also others like, for example, direct marketing. For example, is similar in the everything related to Google Ads and things like that. So we also want this real-time data there.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's a common trend we see people, once they actually tackle and take on some of these data architectures, just unlocking the new use cases from there, because you've built that solid foundation, and now rather than starting a project saying, where is all this data, I can actually just start from there, and unlocks new use cases and really fuels innovation at a lot of our customers.
Yeah, and actually, once you do start to unify the data and you get the data governance, you do get things like marketing being able to access different data that they didn't have access before. And so they can then do different kind of activations and then really experiment with that data rather than having to maybe wait for somebody to do a batch report, send it across to them. Given that free reign really does enable new use cases across different business operations.
Yeah, then really just reducing time to value then for all those projects, 100%. So curious now, back to you, Justin, from a Google perspective. I think Orange is a great example of a longtime Google customer. They start out cloud native, but now they're really starting to see acceleration within the cloud. Is that a trend that you're seeing? Is cloud really gaining momentum in Google?
Yeah. Is cloud gaining momentum in Google?
It was a layup. I'm looking for you to just hit it out of the park. If you say no, that's on you.
Well, as I say, right, most of my patch over the past certainly the last 5 years, actually all starts with data. Pretty much all of my telco customers are doing exactly what Bruno's just described. How do you bring that data? How do you get the data governance right? How do you prepare it for an agentic future, get that semantic layer right? What are the use cases we haven't thought of? What are the priority use cases we can get value out of? And so we have one or two telcos that have now literally brought everything into Google Cloud, and that's everything from SAP data, network data, and that's where you really start unlocking those use cases where before were probably blocked, especially around networks, because that has a lot of data.
Yeah. Bruno, are you feeling that at Orange, a real acceleration for your Google projects, whereas before you're just trying to get out, you had a lot of these legacy systems, but now that you're building these architectures, there's a real momentum around your cloud projects?
Yes, so I think today any project has this aspect, right? Like, so that's where before it was just a few sources. Today, anything that comes up, they turn to us and they want to understand how they can leverage the platform that we built for their use cases. So yeah, everything basically, the prepaid system, the network monitoring, they all have these needs to be faster.
Yeah, excellent. So next question for you, Justin. Everyone, I feel like it's a little bit of a combination of what we've been talking about. Everyone talks about a customer 360 data, but I feel like rarely do they talk about the real-time aspect of that. How would you say, or how critical is real-time data when it comes to 360 data for customers?
Well, if you don't have real-time, and you've spent all your time trying to get this 360 view of a customer, whatever that actually means to if you don't have real-time, what have you actually got? You've got an historical record of your customer. It's historical, right? It's still valuable. It's not that it doesn't have value. But if I take a sort of telco kind of example, right? Certainly in the UK and probably globally, telco's very competitive now, right? You don't want churn. You don't want somebody to go to another provider. So you've got a historical record of a customer, and they're going to call you up and say, I want to cancel, I want to move. Classic case, you're going to probably throw them some offers. But let's say you have a customer that's paid their bills on time, never really phoned customer service. That 360 view is really, really limited. So what offers do you give them? Now, let's bring in some real time. Now, if you can go to that call handler or maybe an agent or what it is, and you know that this user has been on your website literally the past 5 minutes clicking on certain phones, right, looking around at certain phones. Now you can bring that insight straight away so that you can magically offer them the right offer at the right time, reducing the chance of that person churning, because you might just say, oh, we'll give you this or we'll give you that. That has no value to that customer, but by knowing what the customer is just doing, or what their sentiment is, like they may have already called customer service before, by knowing that, you get better decisions. Better decisions means more value.
Okay, I 100% agree. I don't know if you've had a chance to stop by the Striim booth over here, but the big thing that we always talk about is that real-time data integration. A lot of times we see people building lake houses, and when you first built a lake house, a data lake, a data warehouse, there just wasn't the idea of it being real-time because it was for historical use cases. But now in 2025, so much of the use cases people are looking to tackle require that real-time data. If you want agents to be making operational decisions, they need actually access to that real-time operational data. Yeah.
As much context as possible. I had a really good use case, not a telco, but they built the whole data platform was built from the ground up to be real-time. And I think it was like over 800 different sources, real-time. And they launched into a new country, and this was probably about 4 years ago now. But they launched into a new country, launched a whole new product platform, and their VP of data over in the US wrote us a really nice email saying, we launched a product and we knew exactly what was working and what was not. And this was the first time in our company's history that we could then pivot within minutes to go, okay, we'll do more of that. We could see where the money was being generated and what was working and what doesn't. You can turn that dial within minutes.
Yeah.
It has a massive impact on the ultimate revenue that you actually make.
Yeah, fantastic example. So Bruno, back to you real quick. One of the things about your experience with Striim is you started out on a self-managed version of Striim, and now you've gone over to our SaaS version of that. Curious about that experience, maybe what led to that decision, and then as well, how that's helped you be more agile for your teams, not even just technologically, but as well organizationally.
Sure. So yeah, the base driver was the same as for any move to a SaaS, I think. So we have a very small team. We wanted something very reliable, and so we were quite eager to get on the SaaS offering. And indeed, it allowed us to have more confidence in the and avoid the heavy lifting on security, infrastructure, etc. And so it allowed our team to focus more on the use cases where we think the value is. And yes, indeed, this allows us now to look beyond Salesforce and go also to our order management, our other legacy platforms, let's say, like order management, billing system, and a few others, where we are legacy. So there we'll leverage the CDC capabilities of Striim to really expose that to the whole company.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Is that a trend that you're seeing at Google as well? I think, 5-10 years ago, everyone was very focused on open source and flexibility. Are more people moving towards, I just want this to be able to work, to be able to get value out of it? And
I think Bruno said it right at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
You start out with these Hadoop clusters, and then if you think about it, a BigQuery is like a serverless SaaS. It's a platform completely managed, and you get that value from no longer having to pet the boxes and wondering why your storage isn't working, or all of that kind of stuff, and all of the stuff you have to do, to now having the value of just being able to use the technology. I see that all the time.
Yeah, something that we had a dinner the other night with our CEO, Ali, and he talked about, the biggest thing now for software is just want it to be simple. We want it to be able to work.
You don't
want to reduce
want to
complexity.
have to discuss with the network team to understand why the latency is going up and things like that, because one switch is flapping, things like that. You don't want to know that, and that's why I spend a lot of time on these kind of things. Like I said, the good days it's good, but the bad days I don't want them with me. Somebody else can take care of the bad infrastructure days. That's what we want. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I've seen, especially with AI use cases, engineers don't want to be spending time figuring out change data capture from Salesforce off that endpoint. Yeah. They want to be spending time exploring that data and being able to find new insights from it and building exciting new products, as opposed to just building these data pipelines. So we see more and more at Striim, people looking and really latching onto that simplicity, looking at our SaaS offerings rather than even using our services in other ways. All right. Next question, I'm really excited to talk about. It's 2025, so we have to talk about agents. It's in our contract here at Big Data London. We have to ask questions about agents. So I imagine for you at Google, every telco that you're talking with is exploring agents right now. What have you seen is actually the limitations of getting value from agents in 2025?
Well, agents and agentic and Gen AI, they're big words, right?
Yeah.
And we actually think about agentic systems in 3 categories. So you have level 1 agentic systems. You build an agent, it does one thing. Simple example is like if you have an agent and it can reach into your calendar and make a calendar change or something like that, or a simple chatbot, that's a level 1. Level 2 is where you might be having multiple tools underneath, interfacing with multiple different systems, but it's still effectively one agent. Then you have a level 3, which is multi-agent systems pulled together with the agent-to-agent protocol, right? So now you're looking at more of a microservice kind of architecture. So you have smaller, well-defined agents that you can build tests around, and you link them together to unlock the value. So you then pull these together, and I just worked on a project more on the media side just recently, and my own head was literally blown when, without any code, I mean, there was obviously code running the agent, but once we plugged 7 agents together that all had different skills in with an orchestrator agent, the A2A protocol and Gemini working together meant that you could do user journeys, workflows, tasks that had no code. It just knew, Gemini just knew from the protocol and from the other agents how to achieve that, the certain tasks. And where we're seeing a lot with telcos is actually if you can bring the network data in and you have the real-time network data, how can agents help you optimize and eventually take autonomous decisions about network optimization or detect errors before you get that first ticket, right? The limitations right now is these multi-agent systems. It's bleeding edge right now. So A2A is not version 1, there's a whole different things, but this is going to come together, very quickly in 2026.
You've seen a lot of MCP adoption as part of that for tool use. Is everyone aligned to that MCP as far as the context protocol for working with tools?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like you build with MCP, you build your tools, then you build your agent, and then A2A is like the MCP between agents.
Yeah, something I'd say 100% agree. I don't know if anyone in here has read the MIT report from the NANDA group about the state of AI enterprise. Anybody read that? It had the quote, it was going around LinkedIn, 5% of Gen AI projects only 5% have been successful, 95% of Gen AI projects have failed within the industry, which is the quote that everyone has pulled from it, which is not actually accurate. The actual quote is that task-specific generative AI projects, only 5% have been successful. If we look at just those general projects, we're seeing about according to that report, a 40% success rate. And it talks about actually in it the Gen AI divide is what they say. So what is the difference between these general use cases, so what you're saying level 1, and then the level 3 use cases? And it poses a few different reasons for that. One of them is memory. Another one is just overall, I would say the success, the interaction, like the interface for the users. But one of the ones that we're seeing a lot talked about is the context for the agents. So once we move from those general knowledge base use cases like a chatbot, we're moving into more of these task-specific use cases. What's really crucial is the context for those models, that operational data at the time that is available. And I think that's one thing at Striim that we're really focused on is providing the data for our customers in real time for those operational use cases. So agents likely shouldn't be querying your operational data stores directly. It's really an anti-pattern. They're non-deterministic. You don't really know exactly how they're going to work, especially if you're building in reflection for them to query those a lot. So what we're seeing oftentimes is people looking to actually create these operational data stores of exposing their data, but it has to be in real time for those agents to be able to make the correct decision at the right time.
Yeah.
Really exciting, bleeding edge stuff that we're seeing right now.
It is, and I just want to comment on the proportion of failed Gen AI projects. There was definitely, in 2024, there was definitely a trend for people to find a problem for the solution. We got the solution, we're going to use a large language model, and we're going to use AI.
CEO told us we have to use Gen AI, let's go do
So we're going to find all of these projects, and then, okay, what value is this, right? Like, how does that actually work? And again, on a project I was working in the media space, 2024, it was like, oh, we got an LLM to understand a news rundown, and you can say, go to next camera, and it will go to next camera, but like, that's not really a value use case because the director can just hit a button and go to next camera. That's not a use case for AI. But now, this year, it was about bringing in this multi-agent so you can then have multiple skill sets. And now you're starting to see an agent that actually can bring value into a situation. So there's kind of a maturity thing.
Yeah. So all this is leading a little bit for you here, Bruno. I know we talked a lot about agents, and we've talked about some of the things that Orange is doing. For you, what is the most exciting thing that Orange, as you look forward, is going to be working on in the intersection of real time and AI?
Yeah, just to come back to the discussion before, I think for me personally, it's first time that I see how like AI is useful personally. Like I love kind of discovering, interacting, personal efficiency with AI and LLMs. But in the enterprise, I think it's still a bit more complicated. There's a lot of potential, but really seeing the value, it's taking a slightly longer time, I would say. There's like a big difference between that, I find. So for us at Orange, it's mostly first on efficiency and customer care that we see AI being. That's where we're working on. And so the success factor there will be indeed like you mentioned, right? Like access to the right context, because that's where an LLM today it misses this. And so luckily we had this platform already that we built more for digital, that we can quite easily extend now to agents. I think indeed you need to a little bit adapt security, because those agents, like you said, they are not fully predictable. You need to make sure that they only get access to the right data that is allowed in that context. But that's a natural evolution. So yeah, this is quite interesting. And so yeah, for us as a telco, customer service is very important. Sales, helping the interactions, making more efficient sales is quite important. So for us, being successful with AI is important as a telco to be competitive and profitable in the future, for sure.
Yeah, and I'd echo what Bruno just said about in the enterprise and these level 3 systems. At the moment, when you look at them, you can send a bearer token between, and you can have a service account, talk to one agent to another. But what you really need to do is be able to track the user who did the orchestrated out, the routing agent, track that user around and maybe restrict what agents in the background based on, if you think about it like cloud IAM principles, like should somebody from finance really have access to the network agent? Probably not. So these are the things that we're actually actively working on. It's like, what does that look like? What are the standards that we need to be able to do this at an enterprise level?
Yeah. Well, to illustrate this, like whenever we talk to HR, we're asking them like, what's the likelihood that you can live with that colleague E can get to the pay of colleague B? Usually it's not very high. So.
All right. Well, just as a leaving thought, maybe I'll ask Justin first. I'd love to ask you, Bruno, as well. Any advice you have for telco leaders that would say, we have lots of data, or at least we're told, but we're actually not getting that many insights from our data.
Put on my t-shirt.
Any recommendations?
Unify data.
Okay, great.
AI.
Yeah.
And honestly, and it's great to have some great customers in the UK. They're already far down this road, but breaking up those data silos, that is the key, right? Having the data and the data governance nailed as well, right? Who can access what? We were talking about agents, but that's still important just at the data level. And then look at the semantic layer that you're putting on that data. The semantic layer is absolutely important for AI to be able to understand what that data is, how it should be used, and then you're able to unlock the value. Every telco I speak to right now, from the business side, not the technology side, is how do we monetize our data? And unless you get your data into a good place that is reliable, fresh, so it's up to date, you're going to struggle to really get the value out of that data, especially using AI.
Yeah, and right now, the data landscape an enterprise is so diverse, right? You could have data in your Salesforce applications. You have data in some SQL server somewhere. You might have some Oracle data. Realistically, to get that value, and we've always been talking about
spreadsheets as well.
Might be in spreadsheets.
Yeah.
We've always talked about unifying data, and oftentimes I think it used to be for these batch reporting use cases, or CEO wants to report for something. Now with AI, I think it's really adding in that layer of, we have to get this done now if we really want to do AI. And anyone's trying to do it before you do that unification are running into those hurdles. I think that if we look at that report, that was probably surveys from 2024, and some of the issues that people are having is they just didn't have the right data unified together so they could prepare for those use cases. Bruno, for you, any advice you would give to data leaders that say, I have lots of data, but I don't have a lot of insights?
Yeah, for me, what we're focused on now is trying to see agents with certain capabilities, kind of like the APIs in the past, like what's the catalog of agents that we should build, more specialized. It's something that we're reflecting on and trying to understand, because, yeah, we have a tendency to just kind of focus on one use case, try to build around that one. But yeah, trying to see it as really capabilities is something that we're focused on and think is important. Maybe one day these super agents will come that can do everything and figure everything out. But I'm not seeing. If you build some, you get pages and pages of prompts. you don't want this. You want to be able to manage it a little bit, and thinking well about kind of what capabilities do you want in your different agents is important.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for being here today. Thank you for joining us on the stage. If you have any questions, feel free to pop over to the booth, or as well, these two aren't coming with me because they're too cool, but we do have an event right now. If you want to get a better lunch than what you're going to get here at the conference, just hop over to the Hand and Flower up to the 2nd floor. And we're having a bit of a lunch. We're going to have great food. We'll have some more conversations about, you guessed it, AI. But just want to say thank you all for being here with us today.
Thank you.